I'm going to read you today a book called Ali Standish, The Climbers. It's a bit of a big book, so I might have to do it in different parts. So today will be part one. Alma reached up just a little further and she would be high enough to see for miles. Alma, called a voice. She swung around to see her uncle standing below. Get down from that tree, he shouted. What were you doing? Her uncle asked, taking Alma's arm and leading her back to their cottage. I just wanted to see the forest, said Alma. Alma had lived with her stern uncle ever since she could remember, but deep down she never felt she belonged in the narrow town where they lived. She wasn't sure where she did belong, only that there had to be more to the world than this. Her uncle shook his head. How many times must I tell you? He huffed. The forest is full of fearsome beasts. That's why only the hunters are allowed there. Alma had heard this many times, from her uncle, from her teachers, and especially from the mayor. When Alma peered into the trees, she saw flashes of bright colours and heard birds whistling songs that made her heart feel like it had wings too. But all the townspeople seemed to hear was the mayor's booming voice. All they saw was his shaking fist. What's beyond the forest, Uncle? Asked Alma. The mountains, he said. The settlers there are as bad as beasts themselves. They are so wild they even grow fur. Alma sighed. She had heard this before too. That's why you must stay here, safe in the town, said her uncle, handing her a broom. The hard lines round his mouth faded. It's for your own good, Alma. There's nothing beyond the town worth seeing. Alma began sweeping the cottage steps. Her feet were on the ground, but her mind was still high up in the tree. How could you know something wasn't worth seeing if you had never seen it? And if the world beyond the town was so terrible, why did she want to explore it so badly? After supper that night, Alma lay in bed until she could not lie still any more. Then she crept outside and stood in the yard, staring through the trees until she could not stand still any more. Then she set off running. She had to see the forest for herself. The forest air was cool. The dancing trees were silver. Moonlight dappled the ground like pearls scattered from a string. There were flowers with 1,000 petals that smelled of juicy plums. Yellow lizards slept in the trees. Deeper and deeper Alma walked. Birds sang carols all around her. Their songs made her feel welcome. Then she heard a different sound, a cry. Alma began to feel afraid. She hid behind a thorny thicket and peeked out into the clearing ahead. At first she thought the white thing might be a fallen star. It was huddled in a patch of ferns. Then she saw a set of paws below it and a pair of eyes above. Alma tiptoed across the clearing. The crying thing was not a fallen star. It was not a fearsome beast either. It was a frightened bear cub. Hello, said Alma. She kneeled down and stroked the cub. You must be from the mountains. Are you lost? The bear was skinny and alone. Alma couldn't leave him there where hunters might find him, so snuggling the cub in her arms, she ran back through the forest. I can't bring you home, she whispered. Her uncle would never allow a bear in the house, but I know just the place. She took the bear to an old shed at the edge of town. No one ever went there, so the cub would be safe. Alma took off her blanket and wrapped him up in it. Sleep now, she said. I'll bring food tomorrow. Then she ran home, slipped into her own bed and fell deeply asleep. The next morning, Alma rose with the sun. As soon as she could escape from her uncle's watchful eye, she ran to the shed with cream and berries left over from breakfast. The bear cub lapped up the cream. The berries stained his white star purple. He licked Alma's hand to say, "Thank you." "You're welcome," Alma said, giggling. "I should give you a name too. How about Star Bear? What do you think?" In her arms, the cub snored in agreement. He had fallen fast asleep. I'll see you tomorrow for the next part in this story.